Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, are we broadcasting? We have
Yes,
our.
Mataji.
Okay, let me also double check from my side once to see whether we are indeed live. And who else joined us here? I see an iPhone, so I can't recognize an iPhone. Oh, let's see.
You Surabhi.
No, Sarabhi Mataji was already there. Let's see. Let me go here first to my page to just check on the broadcasting thing. Okay. Yes, we are good. It is happening. So I can close this and instead go to Bhagavad Gita. What words are we going to do today?
34, 6.34. Cañcalaṁ Himana Kṛṣṇa.
It's 6.8?
3-4.
3-4, right? Yeah, I heard 3-2 and I was like, no.
3-4, Mataji.
0.3.
Cañcalaṁ Himana Kṛṣṇa.
Okay, very nice. And who joined us on iPhone? I see an iPhone connection here.
I don't know, it could be my friend Kiran, who was usually coming to the Bascom temple from a long time. So I've been telling her.
I know
So
that. Okay.
I think it could be.
Whoever is there, if you can chat your name on the chat window, then the suspense will be broken. It's always nice to have some suspense in life. Okay. So today we're going to do Bhagavad Gita 6.34 and all yours favorite verse. And I'm going to just do that. We'll get started. But first we have to do these prayers to the spiritual master. Why do you have to do the prayers to the spiritual master?
He's the one who carries us to the Kṛṣṇa.
So why do we have to pray to him before I'm reading something? He'll carry me.
Because we must, Narad Muni, Mataji, Parikshit, not Parikshit, Prahlad Maharaj in his prayers said that Narad Muni is the one who has brought me to you. He has only taught me your prayers. And first I need to pray him. I mean, to that extent, I mean, my words are different. And that's why I'm saying these words, that first we must.
But he was not reading the Bhagavad Gita at that time, right?
I know.
My question was, why do you have to pray to God before you read the Bhagavad Gita?
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu.
So if Guru is Brahma, so the big deal?
No, he is the one who takes us out from the darkness into the light and gives us the knowledge.
Gives you the knowledge?
Knowledge.
Right. So we pray to the Guru because this is spiritual knowledge and we cannot get spiritual knowledge by our own efforts. To say that I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take Sanskrit 601 at Berkeley, and then I'm going to sit with the book and I'm going to understand all of Bhagavad Gita. It's going to come to me. That's not how it happens, right? And so we need transcendental knowledge comes from the descending process. Okay, it comes from the top and then it comes to you, right? So that one, the material knowledge can go from the ascending process. Nursery, lower KG, upper KG, like that you go, right? But, and then on your own efforts, you can do it. But for spiritual knowledge, you first need the mercy of the Lord. And to get to the mercy of the Lord, you have to go through his secretary, which is your spiritual master. Okay. All right, so let's get going first. We will get started after this prayer to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanitimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam sagrajatam sahagana raghunathanvitam tam sajivam satvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so I see some new devotees here on the call. I see one Mataji by the name Zeen. Mataji, if you could tell us a little bit about you. Where are you joining us?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. How are you?
I'm good.
I am very excited, interested in learning Gita, and just reading by myself, it's not helping me. So I need association of devotees and Mataji like you to help me understand it.
Thank you. You are in good company because all these Matajis here have been studying Bhagavad Gita for at least some of you 10 years on this call, right? If not more. I remember going back a very long time for this. At least seems like 10 years. Okay, good to have you here on the call. And then we also have Subodhini Mataji joining us. So welcome to the call. So we will get started.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. And everyone.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So 6:34. Who is ready for 6:34?
We all are, Mataji.
All are ready for 6:34. Okay.
That's thank you very much, Sutapa. Telling like that.
On your
I'm
behalf.
thinking what to say.
Okay, so Bhagavad Gita 6.34, Arjuna is saying to Krishna, cañcalam hi manaḥ Krishna pramāthi bala-vat dṛḍham tasyāhaṁ nigraham manye vāyor su-duṣkaram. Cañcalam, flickering. He certainly. Manaḥ, mind. Krishna, oh Krishna. Pramāthi, agitating. Bala-vat, strong. dṛḍham, obstinate. Tasya, its aham, I. Nigraham, subduing. Manye, think. Vāyor, of the wind. Eva, like. su-duṣkaram, difficult. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay.
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Purport, the mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it's certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium towards both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Kaṭha Upaniṣad 1.3.3-4, it is said, Atmanam rathinam vidhi, shariram ratham evacha, buddhim tu sarathim vidhi, manah pragraham evacha. Indrayani hayan ahur vishayam seshu gocharan, atmendriya manoyuktam bhoktetya ahur manishinaha. And we all know this. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in association of the mind and the senses. So it is understood by Greek thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of the medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjun. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance, in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Manha Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. Hare Krishna. So, can you think of an instant in your life when you thought that your mind was agitated?
So many instances, Mataji.
So many instances. Okay.
Mind gets agitated so easily.
Mind gets
Yes.
agitated so easily.
Yes, I agree.
Right. And goes here and there.
Like last week, I did not join the class, and like whole week from Monday to today, yesterday, mind was very agitated. I was missing something. So Mataji, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Krishna Katha is very important. Krishna Katha is very important, and to constantly have that pouring from any source, right? A bona fide source, we should be capturing the vibrations.
Though I
And
was reading Mataji, but still it did not help.
association
But
of
that
the
is good agitation, isn't it?
Was that the agitation? Or were there other agitation that you like to
Yeah,
share?
other
one thing?
agitation also.
Ah,
That's what she meant. Yeah, she didn't get her daily fix.
no.
We are junkies. We are Krishna's junkies. We need the mantra fix every day. If we don't get it, then we are host, right? Like that. Yeah. So let's go and look at this verse a little bit in detail here. I'm going to bring back the verse again, and 6.34 here. So let's familiarize ourselves with this verse. Cañcalam. What's the meaning of cañcalam?
Flickering.
Flickering.
Flickering. Okay, and what is pramāthi? Sounds very nice. You could put the name of a child, Pramāthi, Mataji.
Agitating.
See, in Sanskrit, sometimes the words are so beautiful, but the meaning is very different. Okay, and what is balvan or balvat?
Strong.
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 Okay, and dṛḍham?
Obstinate.
Amen.
Okay, and nigraham?
Subduing.
Subduing.
And what is wind?
Air.
Vayu.
Wind.
Vayu.
What is
Vāyor.
vāyor?
Vayu.
Right.
Vayu.
And if something is very, very difficult, what will you say?
Su-duṣkaram.
Su-duṣkaram, right? And in this example, they had quoted, Prabhupada had quoted two verses from Kaṭha Upaniṣad, right? And where he was giving a simile, right? He was doing the comparison or a metaphor. And he was saying that the individual is a passenger in the car of material body. So this material body is like a vehicle, right? So our body is like a vehicle. And what is the soul? The soul is traveling in this vehicle, right? That's what the soul does, right? So easy to remember. So it's traveling in this vehicle. And then who is driving the vehicle, though? It's the intelligence that drives
Intelligence.
it, right? And the driving instrument, the steering
Mind.
wheel, right? The car should go here, car should go there, right? Where's
Mind.
the mind? And the how it goes forward, right? Well,
Senses.
if it's horses, right? So if you're talking about horses, it's a chariot, right? So in the
Senses.
chariot, you will have the lagam, the bridle, right? With which you control the mind is that driving instrument that you'll use to control the horses. The senses are the horses. over here, right? So let's go and look at this verse a little bit more in detail again. So he says that it is flickering, cañcalam, right? Chanchal. So when we use the word chal, chal means, in Hindi, chal means
Walk.
walk,
Go.
right? And then and if something doesn't walk, cannot walk, then it is said achal, right? Right? Like they say mountains are achal because nowadays mountains do not walk, right? In the previous ages, mountains could even fly, right? But they don't do now. So chanchal means chalna. Chalna means here, there, it, ut, here, there, here, there, right? So when when Krishna has given him all those things, right? From yoga rukshu all the way up to yoga rudha stage, all the things that you have to do, right? The big list of things, going all the way through the Ashtanga yoga. All those verses he has talked about: give up material desires, try to think gold and iron as the same, enemies and friends as the same. You go and meditate on your mind. You don't eat too little, eat too little, sleep too much, all that kind of stuff, right? All that is there, right? You have to be a brahmachari. He told him all those things. And then Arjuna last week told us that this is impractical. And now he's continuing on in this verse as he speaks to Krishna. And he says, cañcalam hi mana Krishna, right? So chanchal means that here, there, everywhere. Now, in our day-to-day lives, when we say somebody is chanchal, do we use the word chanchal a lot? With whom do we use the word chanchal?
Kids.
With whom?
Kids. Young children.
Young children, kids, yeah.
Yeah, kids.
Yeah, kids, right? So you use it with kids. So kids are like that, right? It's so amazing to watch kids. Like you bring them, they are playing with their toys and they like a toy, they're playing with it. And you go to them with another toy. And so they see the new toy and whatever toy is in their hand, they just drop it. They just let it drop like that. They don't care whether it breaks or whatever it happens, and then they go and grab the other toy. How long? Not much, right? So they're constantly doing this bhoga, tyaga, playing with a toy, giving it up, playing with a toy, giving it up. Why? Because the mind is telling that something better is there, something better is there. You go there, you bhoga, after some time you do tyag, you give it up. You enjoy it, you give it up. Enjoy because the mind is doing that control that is happening, right? So as Arjuna is describing the mind to Krishna in support of his statement that it's very difficult to control the mind, right? So as he's doing that, he's saying that Krishna, it's very difficult to control the mind because it is chanchal. So he's saying chanchal means it's like a child. It goes here, it goes there, it goes everywhere. Right? But cañcalam hi mana Krishna. But then he also says pramāthi, balavad, dṛḍham. This is also explaining some more characteristics of the mind, right? So if you look at balvad, so if a child is chanchal, right? A child runs from here, there, everywhere. So you can go and catch the child and stop the child, right? But if the child has got bala, if the child has got power,
You can just leave.
you cannot, right?
You cannot hold him.
Right? So the mind, although Arjuna is saying is chanchal like a child, but it is balwan also. Right?
Even
And
Arjuna says that mind is, I can stop my, I have the capacity to stop the wind, but not mind.
it is
Arjuna
even more
says
difficult
to
than
Krishna.
controlling the wind, right? So,
Yeah.
so So when we look at Arjuna's life itself, when we think about the flickering mind and how the mind goes here and there, and then senses also follow the direction of the mind, right? And that's why Srila Prabhupada uses that metaphor from Kaṭha Upaniṣad, where he says that the body is like a vehicle, the soul is sitting inside the vehicle, intelligence is the driver, the instrument is the mind, and the horses are the senses, right? So the senses get controlled. So, for example, in the famous, test that Dronacharya had taken of his students, right, in the realm of archery, right, Dhanurvidya. So he said he put a dove, right, a bird on the tree, and he said, "I want
the eye of the bird."
Yeah,
Eye of the bird.
is the eye of the bird, right?" And then he called the Kauravas. Among the Kauravas, Duryodhan went Okay, try to take aim, and then what do you see? So he says, what do I see? Well, I've got a very wide vision. I see, and I pride in that. I see the bird, I see the tree, I see you, Guru Maharaj, I see all my brothers, like that, right? Then he said, okay, aim and shoot. And he aimed and he shot, but he could not, reach the target. And so this way, everybody came and they all failed, and then Arjuna came. And then so Dronacharya said, Arjuna, what do you see?
Just I have the bird.
Only the bird.
Only I have the
Only
bird.
the
Eye of the
I
bird.
have the bird.
Yeah.
I have the bird.
eye of the bird. So he has so much of control, mental control, that he would focus so much. And what is focus? Focus is, narrowing down your thoughts. Otherwise, thoughts are like waves and they will go in all the different directions. He was controlling that, and he was saying, I only see that. That's what my target is, right? So similarly, our target should also be not the bird's eye, not even with the arrow, but our focus should be Krishna, right? That is where my mind should always be going. So he said, so that was focus he was planning. So his mind chanchal, going here and there? No, because his mind was not going here and there, right?
Yes.
Because the mind can go in any direction. You can say, oh yeah, I'm taking this aim and like that, and I'm looking so smart. I'm Arjuna, right? What does my guru think about it? Let's look at the guru, and that's it. And all this happens in so fast that, you're thinking all this and you take the aim, and then your mind was somewhere, your eyes were somewhere, the focus is lost, right? So his mind was not chanchal, right? So he comes and he says, pramāthi, cañcalam hi mana Krishna, pramāthi bala-vat. So I just talked about that if the mind is very powerful, right? Mind is very, very powerful. So I wanted to bring up, and let me try to bring up first some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, our favorite literature. So where was I sharing with you all? This is very late in the cantos. It's from the 11th canto, chapter 23, and where there is a song of the Avanti Brahmana, right? I'll just read this. It's such a nice thing, and everybody should every now and then read this, at least just the short description of this, so that we know. The song of the Avanti Brahmana is also known as Bhikshu Geet. So this chapter tells the story of a mendicant sannyasi from Avanti country as an example of how one should tolerate the disturbances and offenses created by evil persons. Tolerate has got to do with the mind, right? The harsh words of uncouth persons pierce the hearts even more severely than arrows. Yet a mendicant Brahmana from the city of Avanti, even while being attacked by wicked men, considered this trouble to be simply the consequence of his own past deeds and tolerated it with utmost sobriety. Previously, the Brahmana had been an agriculturist and merchant. He had been extremely greedy, miserly, and prone to anger. As a result, his wife, sons, daughters, relatives, and servants were all deprived of every kind of enjoyment and gradually came to behave unaffectionately toward him. In due course of time, thieves, family members, and providence took away the sum total of his wealth. Finding himself without any property and abandoned by everyone, the Brahmana developed a deep sense of renunciation. He considered how earning and preservation of wealth involve great effort, fear, anxiety, and confusion. Excuse me. Because of wealth, there arise 15 unwanted items. I will repeat that. Because of wealth, there arise 15 unwanted items. Thievery, violence, lying, deception, lust, anger, pride, feverishness, disagreement, hatred, distrust, conflict, attachment to women, gambling, and intoxication. When this meditation arose in his heart, the Brahmana could understand that the Supreme Lord Sri Hari had somehow become satisfied with him. He felt that only because the Lord was pleased with him had the apparently unfavorable turn of events in his life occurred. He was grateful that a sense of detachment had arisen in his heart and considered it the factual means for delivering his soul. In this connection, he determined to engage the duration of his life in the worship of Lord Hari, and thus accepted the mendicant order of Tridandi Sannyas. Subsequently, he would enter different villages to beg charity, but people would harass and disturb him. But he simply tolerated all this, remaining firm as a mountain. He remained fixed in his chosen spiritual practice and sang a song renowned as the Bhikshu Geet. Neither mortal persons, the demigods, the soul, the ruling planets, the reactions of work, nor time are the causes of one's happiness and distress. Rather, the mind alone is their cause, because it is the mind that makes the spirit soul wander in the cycle of material life. The real purpose of all charity, religiosity, and so forth, which is dharma, artha, kama, is to bring the mind under control. A person who has already composed his mind in meditation has no need for these other processes. And for a mind who is incapable of fixing his mind, they are of no practical use, right? So I'll stop there and go over to specific verses from this chapter, starting with verse number 46 here. Yeah, very, very important thing he's saying here. And Samahitam yasya mana prashantam danadibhi kim vada tasya krityam asamyatam yasya mano vinashyat danadibhi chet aparam kim ibhihi. Very, very strong statement he's making. He's saying, if one's mind is perfectly fixed and pacified, then tell me, what need does one have to perform ritualistic charity and other pious rituals, right? Pious rituals. And if one's mind remains uncontrolled, lost in ignorance, then what use are these engagements for him? Basically, ritualistic charity and other pious rituals, right? If you're already fixed, then what is the use of rituals? And even after rituals, your mind is still uncontrolled, then what is the use of these rituals, right? We are talking, remember, we're talking about rituals and not devotional service, right? The question to ask is that when his opening statement is one's mind is perfectly fixed. So what do you think is the meaning of perfectly fixed? What is the perfection? You can fix your mind, but what's the most perfect fixation of the mind?
Whatever aim you have, you are narrowing down your, you see, fixing on that particular thing to gain focusing.
Okay, anybody else has any other ideas or thoughts?
Like Guru Maharaj says, rapt attention. I really like that.
You like that? Okay.
Would be on Kṛṣṇa.
Yes, I was waiting for that answer. Yes, rapt attention, but on what? But on Kṛṣṇa. Okay. All right. So now let's go back again to this. So he's saying, when the mind is perfectly fixed, which means he's saying if the mind is fixed in Kṛṣṇa, right? What's the need of these rituals? Right? And so, but the question here is that how did the mind get perfectly fixed? Because the mind is now fixed in Kṛṣṇa. How did the mind get perfectly fixed in Kṛṣṇa? Through devotional service, right? So if you have reached that stage, then you don't have to necessarily do rituals. Okay? But sometimes people, even after reaching that stage, will still continue to do rituals because they want to set an example for those who are not at that high level of fixing their mind. Okay? So Avanti Brahman is saying this. And then the next one is, he says that all the senses have been under the control of the mind since times immemorial. And the mind himself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his godlike power is fearsome. Godlike power, like a demigod, power is fearsome. Therefore, anyone who can bring the mind under control becomes the master of all the senses. Why? Because lowest of all is the dull matter. Above the dull matter are the senses. Above the senses is the mind, right? Above the mind is the intelligence. Above the intelligence is the soul, right? So if you have control your intelligence, you have controlled your mind, and then through that, you have controlled all your senses as well, right? But we saw in the beginning that sometimes the mind, because of having fierce godlike power, right, can even control the intelligence. So if you have controlled your mind, then you have controlled all the senses that are there, right? Failing to conquer this irrepressible enemy, the mind whose urges are intolerable and who torments the heart, many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus, they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them. It's a very, very important thing to remember that if I consider somebody to be my enemy, it is just my mind that is planting those ideas in my head, right? So I think these were the main three ones, right? Persons who identify with this body, which is simply the product of the material mind, are blinded in their intelligence, thinking in terms of I and mine. Because of the illusion of this is I, but that is someone else, they wander in endless darkness, right? So here, my mind is, what's it? Balavat. So it's very, very strong, right? So what happens is that you cannot control it. And the very interesting thing is in the material world is that the gross is gross, right? Can you give me an example of a gross thing? Gross?
Like table, chair.
Table is chair, right? And then give me an example of a subtle thing. Subtle, you're surrounded by subtle things all along, all over.
Senses.
Senses. Give me an example of a sense.
That is soul, you can't see, but it is there.
Soul is subtle,
So-
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for an answer much closer here. You're surrounded by air, right? Air is subtle.
Oh,
Right? So now the interesting thing is that gross looks very gross, right? And so Varshana Mataji says that gave the example of a table being gross, right? So if I take a table and I throw it at somebody, they're going to be hit, right? And I might just say, you know, how can I throw air at somebody? They won't. Air can't damage anything because it's so subtle, right? Is that true or what?
Yes.
Who said no?
I said true.
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 Air cannot damage anything. What's happening in Mayapur?
It can.
It
Can
can damage.
this
Polluted.
vāyor.
You
Huh?
can get, you can't breathe properly.
Okay, Surabhi Govinda Mataji, what were you saying?
There's tornadoes and
Tornadoes.
hurricanes and tsunamis.
Yeah.
A lot of wind problems.
Tsunamis, right? There are a lot of wind problems. So interesting thing is that if I take a table and I throw it at a house or a building, I might just damage a window.
Yeah.
There might be a little bit of dent, right? But if a tornado comes, the tornado can bring down the whole building.
Yeah.
Right? So here the thing is that the subtle is very, very strong. I mean, all the time when we are in a flight, right? What does the pilot keep on announcing? There is turbulence, fasten your seatbelt. We are facing some turbulence. We'll face it for next 3 hours, 6 hours, 15 minutes. Or we are going to, increase and our elevation, we're going to climb up to 30,000 feet to avoid this turbulence. So why? What's the problem with the turbulence? It's pushing the entire aeroplane, which is tons and tons and tons of weight. So subtle things are very, very strong and they are very, very difficult to control. For example, I can take my hand and I can slap anybody and it'll hurt them, right? Now, if I take my hand and if I try to slap water, can I slap water?
Water will fill on you.
Just splash it back on me. Can you slap the air around you? No.
Can-
So it is saying that I don't know why my hand keeps on getting raised here. I'm not raising my hand. Okay. So anyway, so it's very, very difficult to control. So to control subtle things is very difficult, right? Now, so we know Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash, right? There's a famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. What is that verse? Bhumi.
Bhumirapo another vayu kammano buddhirevacha
Right, so they
ahankaram meti yemmena.
Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada, right? So they're talking that this material world is made up of elements, right? So Bhuma, Bhumi, earth,
Hello.
right? Apo, water,
Vayu.
Air, Vayu, fire, air, right? So they're progressively getting subtler and subtler and subtler, right? It's like water is more subtle than earth, right? Like that. And then he talks about kham mano buddhi revacha, right? So mind is there. Oh, even more subtle than mind is the intelligence, or more subtle than intelligence is the false ego, and then the soul, so like that, right? So there is this hierarchy of being subtle, and the higher you are in that hierarchy of being subtle, then more difficult it is to control, right? So Arjun is a warrior. He has a Gandiva, so he can shoot arrows here, there, and everywhere, right? But he's saying that to control the mind, it's more difficult. Why? Because it is Balwan. Because it's got fierce powers.
Strong.
The tornadoes can come and they can wipe out entire villages, entire towns, and billions of dollars of property are lost in that, right? Because it is like that. It is very, very strong. So he says, Balwan. Okay. What else does he say? Cañcalam hi mana Kṛṣṇa.
It's obstinate.
pramāthi bal-dṛḍham.
What is the
Pramāthi.
word for
Balvad. Balvad dṛḍham.
Dṛḍham.
But
Dṛḍham.
what was
Dṛḍham.
before Balwan?
Pramāthi.
It is
Pramāthi.
obstinate.
Pramāthi. Yeah. Pramāthi means what?
Agitating.
Agitating. That's the password. Agitating.
Yeah. It irritates you and makes you go mad. Right? So Rishabh-dev in his teachings, right? Rishabh-dev is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. And he, in his teachings, in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Nunam pramatta kurute virkarmana. So he says that he's talking about people, they go mad. They may go mad after trying to accumulate material things. And as they go mad after trying to accumulate things, they do vikarma. They do sinful activities. Okay, so when we use the word mad, right? So there are two types of madness, right? One madness comes because, you see people are mad. They call ye pagal hai type of thing, right? Lunatic. They have some malfunction in their body.
In the mind.
And they lose the touch with the reality. So they have to be put in special places. And then depending on how severe their condition is, sometimes we also have to bind them with chains, right? Some might be very simple and they might say, oh, I'm the president of America, or they might say, I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. So some great personality, I'm Mahatma Gandhi. They might just say like that. They are not harmful, they're harmless. They just, they have misguided sense of identity. And some might just think, oh, like, well, I'm Arjuna, or I'm Parushuram, and I'm going to kill everybody. So they can come around you to kill you. So they have to be bound with chains, etc. Right? So that's one kind of madness. That's also pramatta, right? But then there is other kind of madness that comes when you do not get what you were looking for. And then when that desire is not fulfilled, then you go mad, right? Now, there are some verses in Bhagavad Gita that tell us about that, way back in the earlier chapters. Anybody wants to make the guess there? Once I recite the verse, you are going to say, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. That's all.
Ayato Vishyan Pumsan Sangaste upajayate, sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho bijayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. So why does anger arise from lust?
Because Mataji, if you don't get that, the particular thing, then the anger will arise.
Anger will arise, exactly. So anger is krodh and lust is kam, right? So kam and krodh, they go together. Actually, kam is the elder brother of krodh. First kam is born. And when kam is not fulfilled, then krodha is
Kama, Krodha, Madama.
right. So then they are going to take you through the cycle of downfall and continuously staying in the material, right? So in the previous verse, they were saying, while you're contemplating the objects of the senses, you develop attachment, and from attachment, you get lust, and from lust, anger arises. Then what happens when anger arises? Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nashat pranashyati. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material.
Yes, that's true.
There's this very famous story of, not story, it's an incident that happened, and that had to do with Mike Tyson, right? Who was Mike Tyson?
The boxer.
Yes, boxer.
Right? And so these boxers, they challenge each other, and then they win, they'll hold the crown, and then the one who was defeated will come back after some time and challenge again, so like that. And Mike Tyson, I think, won for a very long time. Many, many times he was like on the top. And then once one of his opponents challenged him, I'm forgetting the name, maybe he was Holyfield, I'm forgetting the name of that, but that's not the essence of the story. The essence of the story is that Michael Tyson really wanted that position, and he was getting beaten in the war, in the fight. And he's losing it. So what was happening? The lust was there to get to that coveted position, and he saw that he was not going to get it. So then anger came into him, and from anger, bewilderment of memory came, and then his all sense of reasoning was lost, intelligence was lost. And what did he do? Does anybody know what he did? It's very hilarious and ghastly both at the same time.
I think he bit the ear
But
of
the other person.
Somebody.
He bit off he was so angry. Like it's like a dog's bite, right? Human beings don't bite each other in anger.
Yeah.
He bit off the ear, and then what happened? He immediately got disqualified from participating in that tournament. So this is loss of intelligence, that you do certain things which will be detrimental to you because intelligence is lost. Why? Because there were some internal inside forces that were driving Mike Tyson to go and bite the other person against all odds. So why? Because mind is balvan. So cañcalaṁ hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa, pramāthi balvan. So although it behaves like a child, but it is not helpless like a child. It is not, children are balheen, right? They're soft. They can't lift this, they can't do that, right? They're soft. No. Although it has the chanchal, the flickering nature of a child, but it is strong like an adult. So cañcalaṁ hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa, pramāthi, and it's mad. It can get mad. And then dṛḍham. Dṛḍham. Dṛḍham means, what is the meaning of dṛḍham there in that verse today?
obstinate.
Obstinate. Okay. And so can you tell me of an animal who's always usually called obstinate?
The donkey.
Yeah, mule. Yeah,
Yeah.
donkey. As obstinate as a donkey or as obstinate as a mule. Right? So what is obstinate? What does an obstinate person do?
Dṛḍham, obstinate. Obstinate.
What will an obstinate person, when will you call a person obstinate?
When they don't listen to reason and they only think what they are doing is the right thing.
Right, they do not listen to reasoning. When the intelligence is trying to reason, The mind is not going to listen. It will keep on churning the thoughts along that same line, right? For example, I want to get an ice cream. Mind is saying, hey, your doctor told you yesterday your cholesterol is high. The mind should listen to that and then plant another thought which says, okay, let's not go there. Let's sit here. Let's get some salad and eat that salad, right? But the mind will not do that. The intelligence will keep barking like that. The mind will tell the senses to get up, go walk, and get the ice cream out of the fridge. Very obstinate, right? So the obstinacy, it is so obstinate that you know that something is wrong, but still you are going to continue to do that thing. So cañcalam hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa pramāthi dṛḍham. Tasyāhaṁ nigraham manye vāyor su-duṣkaram. He says because of these four qualities, right? What were the three qualities? Four qualities of the mind?
Agitated, strong, obstinate.
Obstinate. Give me all four.
Flickering.
Flickering. Right? So, and Prabhupada says restless, right? Flickering is restless. Mind goes here and there, everywhere.
Restless.
And how restless are they? And how restless can the mind get and how it can force you? We see example, like people performing Ashtanga Yoga, going and trying to meditate, the Vishwamitra, right? Mind focused thousands and thousands of years. And then what?
But when Manaka came.
Just heard the ankle bells.
Ankle bells.
Just heard. And immediately the message was communicated from the mind. It's like, oh, what's that sound? It sounds very nice. Open the eyes and rest is history. Chanchal. Right? Subbaru Muni. Saw two fishes in the water.
Two fishes.
And he was like actually meditating underneath the water. Like what kind of disturbance are you going to get underneath the water? You might think I'm very safe, right? People in the world bother me. The women going around here and there. The sannyasi might think they are going to agitate my mind. But then what? He sees two fishes there. And then he climbs back up and now wants to marry 50 people, 50 ladies all at the same time. 50 princesses, right? So the
Mataji, same way. We sit in secure place, try to do the japa. But this mind sometimes it goes out of the secure place and wanders somewhere and it keeps thinking. So
right.
That is another thing also.
Right. Manorathena sthit dhavato bhihi. The soul can sit on the chariot of the mind and it can go to places, right? For example, if I say, have you seen the Taj Mahal recently?
Because I can go to India right now.
Go to India and come back like that. So it travels at a speed faster than light. Mind travels at the speed faster than light. And that's why some of the yogis can sit on the mind and they travel through that channel. That's why you see Narad Muni, he does interplanetary travels. How does he do that? Right? He uses these channels, right? Some people sit on light beams and they travel on that. So you'll find instances of that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and there are so many instances of mind being obstinate, making people go angry. Another example that we see from our scriptures again is Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah.
Give me instance of Dhruva Maharaj who have been reading Bhagavatam and anger.
When his stepmother didn't allow him to sit on his father's lap, he was very angry.
Right. So much angry that he started crying, right? Okay. Any other example of Dhruva Maharaj getting angry? Of course, then he goes and meets Narad Muni and all that happens, right? After that, he becomes a devotee. He sees the Lord, right? And he says, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want anything. I was asking for kingdom, but I found you were much better, right? But the Lord says, you go back and you rule, right? But you'll come back and then of your life will come back to me. So he's all nice, polished, he's become a devotee, right? But does he get angry again?
Yes, he got angry when his mother said that where can I see Krishna? Where can I meditate and find Krishna? Only Krishna can, when mother said, only Krishna can do it for you. And that is the time. In agitation, he goes to the forest and starts meditating there. Out of anger, he became a devotee and he found Narad. On the way itself, Narad Muni told him, you are a child, you go back, and you can't do it. But he was firm in his, so his agitation was there, and that is why he went to the
He was
forest.
impelled by his agitation and
Yes.
had the good fortune to meet Narad Muni, right? But if you're just impelled by agitation, if you don't meet Narad Muni on the way, you could be going someplace else, right? You could have met the wrong person. So very important to have the right guidance, right? Okay, so all that happened and then he saw God. But my question is that after all that, did he ever get angry, Dhruv Maharaj?
No, after that, I don't think so.
Okay, so Dhruv Maharaj had this stepmother, right? Uttam,
Yeah.
right? Who was sitting on the father's
Yeah,
lap. And
sitting in the father's lap.
yeah, but when he comes back, when he after Dhruv Maharaj comes back, right? And he's still a child, but when he comes back after finding God in 6 months, he comes back and then his father goes to meet him, right? And both the mothers go there, both his mothers go there, right? And then and then his stepmother is also there. And the father picks up both the sons and have them sit on the chariot there, right? So then Dhruv Maharaj was, pretty balanced person. So although as a child he was angry, but then he was affectionate towards his stepbrother as after he came back with all God realization and all that. So his behavior with his brother was very nice, right? Now, once his brother was killed by a yaksha, by a kuber, sorry, by one of the yakshas, by one of the yakshas, right? So he gets angry. So he goes and kills that yaksha. And then what he does? In anger, he goes and starts killing all the yakshas. And the yakshas are headed by Kuber, right? So all the yakshas, he starts killing them mercilessly. And he's so powerful, he can kill them by the thousands. So he started killing them in anger. And then Manu or Brahma, one of the two, had to come and ask him to stop. Right? So at no stage in life should we think that, we are safe. Maya is there at every step. Padam padam yad vipatam natesham. Every step Maya is there, just ready to, just haunt us, kill us, and then throw us on the ground like that. So like Arjuna is saying, cañcalam hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa pramāthi bala-vat dṛḍham tasyāhaṁ nigraham manye vāyor eva su-duṣkaram. Right? Another example is of the prachetas. So they went under the sea. They also went under the sea to meditate. And they meditated for 10,000 years and then they come back. So when they come back, because they were princes and they were supposed to take care and administer their kingdom, they were not doing that. They were praying. So when they come back, they find that nobody had taken care of the estate. The trees were growing here, there, and everywhere. And they started to mercilessly cut all the trees down like that. So there are instances, many, many instances in our shastras that talk about, what happens when people go mad and, urged by the mind. And that's why they say, vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jibha vegam, udarupastha vegam, right? Etan vegan yo vishite tadhira, sarvam apiman prithvim sa shishyat. The person is capable of making disciples, or in other words, capable of becoming a guru, only if he has learned to control all these forces and all these urges which are there. Right?
I see Krishna's chariot back of you, Mataji, with 5 horses.
There you go.
That also means, I think, 5 senses to control. He has that.
Good observation.
That's
Good
a nice
observation.
thing.
Okay. Now I'm going to jump to Bhagavatam. I wanted to bring something from Bhagavatam here. Actually, so we talked about mind being cañcalam hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa pramāthi bala-vat, strong, right? Chanchal, all that kind of stuff, right? And in Bhagavad Gita, 10th canto, right? Krishna says that the senses, I am the mind, right? And in the 10th chapter, by giving these similes, what Krishna is saying is that, okay, if you find I am the best in everything, right? For example,
Yes, Mother.
right? Among the marine or among the aquatics, I am the shark, right? Among the mountain, I am the Himalayas, right? So best of every species. So he says, among the senses, I am the mind.
The mind.
Because why? Pramāthi balvad. It is very, very strong, right? And from where do you think the mind derives its strength? It derives its strength from Kṛṣṇa. Because Kṛṣṇa is strong and Kṛṣṇa is saying, I am the mind. Like that, right? So
10:22, Mother.
10:22, thank you. Yeah. So let me bring that verse from Bhagavatam. And it was, let me go directly to 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 10. It's a very interesting database. Vedabase.com, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and verse number is, okay.
Bhagavad Gita, Mother.
No, I'm not going to bring that up. I'm bringing something from, that I already covered, right? Hold on for 1 second. Okay, here. Let me start sharing. I was just looking for the precise verse there. So let me start sharing the screen here. This looks like it. Okay. So this is about Kṛṣṇa. I'm starting from, and this is 10th canto, and what is the chapter number 7, right? Right. So I'm starting, but there are many stories there. I'm just starting from a particular one, which is more pertinent to what we are discussing today. So here we are saying that one day, a year after Kṛṣṇa's appearance, Mother Yashoda was patting her son on her lap. But suddenly she felt the child to be heavier than a mountain peak, and he could no longer bear his weight. Feeling the child to be as heavy as the entire universe, and therefore being anxious, thinking that perhaps the child was being attacked by some other ghost or demon, the astonished Mother Yashoda put the child down on the ground and began to think of Narayan. Foreseeing disturbances, she called for the Brahmanas to counteract this heaviness, and then she engaged in her other household affairs. She had no alternative than to remember the lotus feet of Narayan, for she could not understand that Kṛṣṇa was the original source of everything. While the child was sitting on the ground, a demon named Trinavarta, who was a servant of Kamsa's, came there as a whirlwind at Kamsa's instigation and very easily carried the child away into the air. Covering the whole land of Gokula with particles of dust, the demon, acting as a strong whirlwind, covered everybody's vision and began vibrating everywhere with greatly fearful sound. For a moment, the whole pasturing ground was overcast with dense darkness from the dust storm, and Mother Yashoda was unable to find her son where she had placed him. Because of the bits of sand thrown about by Trinavarta, people could not see themselves or anybody else, and thus they were illusioned and disturbed. Because of the dust storm stirred up by the strong whirlwind, Mother Yashoda could find no trace of her son, nor could she understand why. Thus she fell down on the ground like a cow who has lost her calf and began to lament very pitifully. When the force of the dust storm and the winds had subsided, Yashoda's friends and other gopis approached Mother Yashoda, hearing her pitiful cry. Not seeing Kṛṣṇa present, they too felt very much aggrieved and joined Mother Yashoda in crying, their eyes full of tears. Having assumed the form of a forceful whirlwind, the demon Trinavarta took Kṛṣṇa very high in the sky, but when Kṛṣṇa became heavier than the demon had to stop his force and could go no further. Because of Kṛṣṇa's weight, Trinavarta considered him to be like a great mountain or a hunk of iron. But because Kṛṣṇa had caught the demon's neck, the demon was unable to throw him off. He therefore thought of the child as wonderful, since he could neither bear the child nor cast aside the burden. When Kṛṣṇa, grasping him by the throat, Trinavarta choked, unable to make even a sound or even to move his hands and legs. His eyes popping out, the demon lost his life and fell along the little boy down to the ground of Vraja. While the gopis who had gathered were crying for Kṛṣṇa, the demon fell from the sky onto a big slab of stone, his limbs dislocated as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. The gopis immediately picked Kṛṣṇa up from the chest of the demon and delivered it free from all inauspiciousness, to Mother Yashoda. Because the child, although taken into the sky by the demon, was unhurt and now free from all danger and misfortunes, the gopis and cowherd men headed by Nand Maharaj were extremely happy. It is most astonishing that although this innocent child was taken away by the Rakshasa to be eaten, he had returned without having been killed or even injured. Because this demon was envious, cruel, and sinful, he had been killed for his own sinful activities. This is the law of nature. An innocent devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a sinful person is always vanquished for his sinful life. Nand Maharaj and the others said, we must previously have performed austerities for a very long time, worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, performed pious activities for public life, constructing public roads and wells, and also giving charity, as a result of which this boy, although faced with death, has returned to give happiness to his relative. Having seen all these incidents in Brihadvan, Nand Maharaj became more and more astonished, and he remembered the words spoken to him by Vasudeva in Mathura. So I will stop here because this pastime is over. And so what do you think? What are your thoughts after listening to this pastime in the context of 6.34?
You have to fix your mind on Krishna, because
connected to 6.34 and the pastime that we read just now. What does he say? What does Arjuna say? Cañcalam hi manaḥ Kṛṣṇa, pramāthi balavad dṛḍham. That's all we know. But the next two lines, tasyāhaṁ, nigraham, manye, vāyor, su-duṣkaram. So he's saying it's very difficult to control the mind, because to control the mind is even more difficult than trying to control the wind. Right? And now in this pastime we saw who can control the wind? So now it's the wind demon, right?
Krishna can control the wind.
Krishna the control. So if you go and attach yourself to the lotus feet of Krishna, then you will be able to control your mind. Right? And what did we hear in the beginning of this chapter? Yeah, go ahead, Varshana Mataji.
Madhuri, another thing, you see, I must just relate it to subdue. Nand Maharaj was very happy that he has returned my son. You see, his thought process was totally different. He was initially he was worried about his son, but when he felt that this demon has returned my son, he must have done some good. See, so kind of, you see, they were subdued and they were kind of blessing him.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the Brajvashi. Yeah, right. So ultimately, as we are progressing through this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, which is on Dhyana Yoga, right? Which is all about controlling the mind. But Bhagavad Gita is not about controlling mind. Bhagavad Gita is not also about karma yoga, right? Bhagavad Gita is all about devotional.
Bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga, right? So ultimately, Krishna is going to veer Arjun. And of course, Arjun is not one who cannot control his mind. He's speaking all these words for our benefit so that Krishna can educate us all more by speaking further on that topic. Right? So both of them are in cohort on that topic. And so slowly, he's going to wean and take him towards Bhakti Yoga. Actually, in the last verse of this chapter, Krishna is going to bring it out in the open. He says, among all the yogis, the best is one who prays to me, right? So after telling him all this about that, right? Because he wants to give him the free choice also, right? These are all the ways and all paths and all options that are available. You do whatever, you want to do. He says that in the 18th chapter also to him, right? But in the beginning of this chapter, we do see, right, about the mind, right? Here. Udharet atmana atmanam na atman avashadhayet atmeva hi atmano bandhur atmeva ripu atmanaha. Does anybody know the meaning of this verse?
That the mind is the friend of the soul and its enemy.
Yeah, the essence of it is mind is the friend and mind is also the enemy. Bandhur atmanas tasya yen atmeva atmanajitaha atmanastu shatrutve vartetatma atmeva shatruvat, right? So that's not as famous as the first one that we mostly use, but this one is saying, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. And how do I make my mind my friend? Is to put my mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. And Krishna, after chapter 6 is completed, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are all about devotional service to the Lord. So he's bringing us, taking us over there. Okay, so I'll stop here now and open for any questions, any comments, anything.
Mataji, first few chapters Arjuna will be, his mind will be cañcalaṁ. Is that right? But for our sake.
His mind is agitated. And the agitations are multifold, right? In the beginning, the agitation was also starting from the lowest level, and the lowest reason of agitation for Arjuna was Kinno bhogena rajena. How can I enjoy the spoils of the war, right? When my own people are dead, right? Then he goes to a slightly higher level when he says that when the kul dharma sanatanaha dharme naste kulam Kṛṣṇam adharma bhivavat, right? We are learning that in the Sunday class, like that. So yes, his agitation is there, but his agitation will get, slightly leading to surrender. When a complete agitation is there, then leads to surrender in chapter 2.
I think at the end, at the other end, few chapters, I think he says, I told you whatever I'm supposed to tell, and do whatever you think now.
Right.
He leaves it to him.
Yes. And Arjuna makes the right decision. He said, yes, I will karishnami vachasta tava. I will do whatever you tell me. Okay. So Mataji has raised her hand. We'll take that now.
Yeah, no, I thought it's more of a reflection. And thank you for the nice parallel between the Bhagavad Gita 6 and this demon, because, in Krishna book, we read about the demons, and they really also have parallels to our own anarthas. So this was nice bringing out this one about the mind and the trivarta. How do you say?
Trinavarta.
Trinavarta, yeah. So I like that a lot. So thank you for that. Maybe we can cover all the demons. Thank you.
I will be able to cover. They're all in me. I just have to bring them out. Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Mataji, so if we expect something like that person should behave with me like that, or he should bring something for me, that is also lust, means that is also desire. So that, and from desire the lust is arise, right? So that is also we need to control. What I have understood, means I have realized that because that will also grieve you, means bring grief, that you cannot, means when you won't get these things from that particular person, or maybe so many persons around you, so that will also give you agitation, and your mind will be like flickering. You will feel like, yeah, I need to tell him or her that the behavior is not thing. So that time also, means how to control that thing, Mataji, because I am not that level. So sometimes I feel,
you're chanting, right? We all are yoga rukshu state. We are beginners, so we will have these things. But look at it. There are imperceptible changes, right? Guru Maharaj always gives an example of once he went to San Francisco in summer. Now, San Francisco in summer is the coldest place, right? So, and it was cloudy, so he did not put sunscreen, and he stood there distributing book the whole afternoon. It was cloudy, so he felt good. Nice cold breeze blowing. But next day he looked, he was tanned. So the sun was still there, sun was still acting on him. And he was tanning, but he was not able to perceive. So it was imperceptible. He could not, feel that it was happening, but it was still happening. The same thing happens in devotional service also. That it won't happen that, I say Hare Krishna and I'll immediately become a saint because I took the name of the Lord. But changes will happen. They are so slow and so, subtle that you are not able to perceive those changes, right? But if you sit back and look, And one of the things that you should always do is you should be observing the self. Always observe the self. Try to observe your the thoughts that cross your mind. Get into that habit. Look at the observe the thoughts that are crossing through your mind, and then analyze, and then always remind yourself that you are not the thought. And also correct, because intelligence is higher than the mind, right? You can always dictate to your intelligence and tell your mind that, hey, you are saying this is wrong. And I was telling the other day that, mind has got algorithms are there, right? So algorithms are there. Algorithm basically is a rule that if this happens, then this should be done. If this happens, then this should be done. If somebody, abuses me, I slap him. If somebody doesn't give me the gift I wanted, I return it. I criticize, I do this, all this is wired in our mind. So you have to break those connections and then replace them with better connections like that, right? So one of the things also would be that, I should not, like when the thought comes to my mind that, I want this person to be, to behave properly with me, right? It is also a desire. And what is that desire? The desire for respect. The other person should treat me with respect. That's a desire. And what's going to happen? It's only going to make you miserable, because if they don't respect you, you're miserable. On the other hand, if I just think, right? If I just think that, I don't expect anything from them, so the day they respect you, you'll be happy. Because you were not expecting, but it came, right? So similarly, even for something like, trying to get a gift, like say, oh yeah, I want a red sari, and that's it. Vijana Mataji gets me the most beautiful green sari, but I don't like it. Why? I wanted red. I won't, right? So whatever your expectation is and whatever you get, the difference between them is your, whatever you get and your expectation is satisfaction, right? So if the expectation was here and what you got was here, then your satisfaction is this much. But if your expectation was here and what you got here, then it is dissatisfaction. It's a negative thing. And that's a practice. We all are doing sadhana bhakti. It's a practice, constant practice. Observe the lives of other saints. For example, Gauranga Karuna Karo, right? That's a famous song. Gauranga Karuna Karo, Ami
Dina na jane.
Masama Patita Prabhu Nahi Tribhuvane. This is Narottam Das Thakur, such an exalted saint. He's saying, Masama Patita Prabhu, that there is nobody in this world who is more fallen than I am. Right? So what we do is that when you look at, like, when he could write, being at such a exalted position, when he is visualizing himself as the worst, right? Then we take inspiration from them. Yeah. So like if he did not expect others to be, better or, like that, others to be lower than him, then that's always the best thing to do. Right? For example, there's a very famous thing on, when they were deciding who should become who should sit on the throne of Hastinapur. Should it be Duryodhan or should it be Yudhishthira? How do you test? Because although we don't like Duryodhan, but he was very good. He had all the skills of a king. He was a very good politician. So from the administrative perspective, it's not that Duryodhan was all bad. And he was skilled, right? He had learned Gada, the mace from Balram, none other than Balram, right? So he was totally skilled, but he was lacking in the soft skills, right? So to make that decision as to who should ascend the throne was a difficult one. And then one of the gurus said, okay, they gave tasks to both of them, to Yudhishthira as well as to Duryodhan. So to Duryodhan, they said, you go there and you try to find a person who is better than you. And then to Yudhishthira, they said, you go there and you try to find a person who is worse than you. So both of them went and then they came back. So Duryodhan, they asked Duryodhan, so Duryodhan, who did you find? So Duryodhan said, I looked here, there, I went to this place, that place, but I could not find anybody better than I. And then they asked Yudhishthira, like, what about you? So he said, I went to every place, but I could not find anybody who was worse than I am. So that kind of a consciousness, to be staying in that kind of a consciousness is where I think I am Trinad Api. And what does that consciousness get? What is the benefit of that, having that kind of a consciousness? What is the benefit of doing that? Why should I have that consciousness?
Because more than grass.
That's your explaining the meaning, that I should think myself to
Lower
be
than grass.
right? Tanadapi sunechana taroriva sahasana, more tolerant than the trees, right? Amanina mandena. See, Sutapa, your answer. Amanina, do not expect respect, but give respect.
Give respect.
Right, right.
Kirtaniya Sadahari.
Yeah. Were you trying to say something, Vashana Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, I wanted to say something, but it is really washed.
It went
my
Cañcalaṁ
mind.
mana Kṛṣṇa. That's what mine does, right? So then the last line tells you Kirtaniya Sadahari.
Yeah,
That's what you were trying to
Kirtaniya
say.
Sadahari.
Until and unless you don't develop that mentality that I am Trinadapi Sunichina, Taroreva Sasuna, Amanina Mandina, you will not be able to do Kirtaniya Sadahari. And if you do Kirtaniya Sadahari, then you are in connection with Krishna, you will get powers of Krishna. So now you will become stronger than wind, because we just saw that Krishna can control the wind. So he'll be able to control the wind, right? You'll get into devotional service, and that is the perfect connection and the perfect situation to be in.
Thank you, Mataji. And with this note, I'm leaving.
Good, good, good. Take care. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining.
you leave early, no?
Yeah, today she's unusually late. Yeah.
Today,
Yes, Mataji.
usually you say I'm leaving now. But you didn't say today.
She just said it.
It distracted. Okay.
It came to my
Cañcalaṁ
mind,
mana.
Mataji,
Cañcalaṁ.
that you see, if you find yourself at the lowest, then you feel like that, oh God, please help me to come closer to you, because I am the lowest, absolutely. And I mean, I won't be able to reach you because I'm the lowest. And many a times this thought has come to me that how will it be possible for Lord Shri Krishna when I die? How will he take me? I have done so many sins. I have done so many wrongs in my life. And you see, I'm not capable enough and worthy enough to go there. So then he might give me birth somewhere in some Brahmana family or somewhere where I can do kirtan all the time.
Yeah, so couple of couple of points, right? One is that Krishna has got this very nice habit. And Krishna's habit is that he looks at focuses on the good things of others, right? Aho bakiyam stanakala kuttam. Putana, right? She tried to kill him.
Till she was liberated.
Liberated?
Gave the place of her mother.
Liberation. She got
She gave
liberation.
the place of her mother, right?
Yeah.
Hatri, right? So he will ignore all the bad things and he will look at the good things there, right? So that is one. Second thing is from the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, where there is this conversation happening between Yamduta, Yamraj, and like that, right? Ajamil story. So there it is. Yeah, it is either there or in I think in Chitraketu story. Yeah, Chitraketu, Lord Shiva is explaining to Parvati, sorry. Yeah, to Parvati, he says, Narayana parasarve nakutaschina bhijya svarg apavarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshina, right? So a devotee of the Lord does not even think, what is God going to do for me, right? Because there are two aspects of living. Like one is Vishwas, Rakshasati iti Vishwaso. Has the firm faith that Krishna will take care of me. That surrender to Krishna, he'll take care of me, right? So that is there. And the second one is that Swarg apavarga narkeshu api tulyardarshana. They are saying, I don't care. Whether I'm Swarg, whether I'm Nark, all that I want is, I want to do devotional service. And we have been reading Narsimha, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, Narsimha Dev, right? And Narsimha Dev is saying, okay, ask for a boon, right? He's saying, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want to go back. Even I want to stay with these fools and rascals so that I can bring them back again. So, because devotional service is so nice, right? I mean, we all fear old age, right? When we were young, we were never looking forward to old age, right? But after we came into Krishna consciousness so in such a strong manner, do we even care that we are old? No. The enjoyment is so much.
The only thing comes to the mind, the time is less now. Do as much as you can do.
That's all.
And do focus, focus. Do.
I always think at the last breath of my last breath, I should say Hare Krishna and think of Krishna. That's all. That is my wish.
Yeah.
We don't know when.
That's why Kaṭha Upaniṣad, there's that verse, right? Vayu anilam amritam athedam bhasmantam shariram om krito smara kritam smara krito smara kritam smara. They say at the time of death, when my life air merges into the totality of air, when my body merges into the totality of earth and all that, oh my Lord, please remember krito smara kritam smara. Please remember all that I have done for you, all that I have done for you, right? Because my mind will be so agitated at the time of death, I might not remember you. That's
we may not say the word also, even Vata Pita, everything will be choke your throat. That's what my worry, Mataji.
Yeah. But always remember that Krishna takes care. Yeah. The death to the, how does death look like to a devotee and a non-devotee? You have heard that story, right? Comparison, right? Like a kitten and a rat. So a rat in the mouth of a kitten, in the mouth of a cat, it sees cats their death, right? But a kitten in the mouth of a cat sees the same mouth as, okay, my mom is going to carry me to a safe place. So when death comes, devotees will embrace it, and that rakshasati iti vishwaso. You have to have that. Faith that Krishna will take care of me. Will take care of me. Will take care of me. Right? And to do that, you associate with people who have faith.
That's devotee association.
Devotee association is very, very important.
Jean Mataji, you're welcome to the devotee association.
And how does it?
Thank you.
You will enjoy this.
I have a reflection when I started doing my japa. I couldn't pay attention, and I would be in and out of the thoughts, and sometimes not even paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just saying it, and I'm not even realizing that I'm actually saying Kṛṣṇa, and I'm not paying attention. And then I started realizing that there were times that I felt like I am not worthy of this devotion, but Kṛṣṇa thinks I am, so I have to make my best of making sure that I succeed in this, because he has faith in me, so I have to make sure that I succeed. So I have a Kṛṣṇa book that a lot of times I just look at that and I do my japa. And there were a few times that I was doing my japa, totally focused on Kṛṣṇa, and to a point where it's kind of embarrassing, because I started thinking the picture of Kṛṣṇa, and I just started thinking like, oh, he's so cute and he's so adorable, and I wasn't focusing on the japa, but I started thinking all these other things.
That's also still you were in the circle of Kṛṣṇa. You were thinking about Kṛṣṇa. You were not thinking about income tax.
One thing, Mataji, if you are in this, see, Krishna's wish only that, you should come into this kind of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, like this association. So Krishna's wish only. That's why you are here today.
I absolutely agree. Thank you.
That's what we have to believe. That's all. That's how we all join.
Right. And one of the subtle things I wanted to point out here is that as we progress in devotional service, our mood constantly changes, right? And our mood changes and it is, others in the material world might not agree with that, but you're not in material world. You all, that's why I can speak it here, is that our mood will change from saying that Kṛṣṇa wants me to do devotional service and I must do devotional service, that is fine. But we'll add a clause that, Kṛṣṇa, please help me do devotional service. I am helpless. I am helpless because
Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayikshami ma sucha. So we have to leave it, Kṛṣṇa.
And it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Especially having grown up in an environment where you're told that man makes his own destiny, you have to be your own person, you have to be your individual. To move from that part to say that, really acknowledge that I am helpless. We are helpless. We all are helpless. But we think we are very smart and very strong and we will do this and we'll do that.
Like Draupadi, as long as I can protect myself, then Krishna won't help us.
Right. Draupadi's story is very classic.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As long as she did that I can protect myself, then he didn't take care. That afterwards, okay, Krishna, then he took. That is the one we have to surrender to Krishna. Slowly I am coming into this, Mataji, but that is the only thing my wish is last breath, what I will, how I will. And Krishna has to remind me, because he says, I am the intelligence and I am the, forgetfulness. That he says forgetfulness also. That's what scares me sometimes, Mataji.
I agree, Mataji, because I was thinking the same thing. And one day I had mentioned it at a retreat class with Pavani Mataji's home, that I'm afraid that like with me knowing who I am, I can forget. So I'm just always thinking like, Krishna, don't make me forget it, please, because whatever I do, I'm trying my best, but please don't make me, because he has the power to make me forget. He's the one who got me here, and he has the power to make me forget. And someone
to make you remember.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
tasyāhaṁ hridi sannivishto mattasmriti jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes the remembrance as well as forgetfulness.
And forgetfulness.
That is the sloka I was telling.
Both will come to you.
He gives forgetfulness also. He gives intelligence.
And that is why we have to go and read. We have to go and read Srimad Bhagavatam.
That's all.
Thoroughly from front to back. And the reason for that is there are several topics that are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. There is Sarga, Artha Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshnam, Utaya, Manvantar, Ishanukatha, Nirodho, Muktir, Ashaya. These are the 10 topics that are discovered there. But where I want you to focus is Poshan. And so there are many, many stories about Poshan, which talks about how Krishna takes care of his devotees. And there is the story of Ajamil. Yeah. Ajamil was a Brahmin. And he was like from a Brahmin family. Tharu's father had taught him everything, living with a nice Brahmin wife and all that. And one day he goes to the woods, to the forest to get some jungles to get some firewood. And on there he sees a prostitute with a man, Shudra. They were enjoying, and his eyes fall that. And then, he gets attached to the prostitute. So he brings the prostitute home, sends his wife off to her parents' home, starts to live with this prostitute. And the prostitutes demand money. He doesn't have money. He's a Brahmana. So he starts to steal, even kill people for the money. And then he had 10 children at that, and he was an aged man, 10 children. And the last child he named Narayana. And he was very, very attached to that boy, Narayana. And then, of course, he was 83 at that time. And then the Yamdutas came to take him away. So he was sleeping, and then he sees this suddenly ferocious looking people. They have come here. And then he
calls Narayana.
He's afraid. So he was afraid. So he calls to his son. He doesn't call God. He calls to his son. Hey, Narayana. He's thinking his son is going to save him, right? And the moment he says Narayana, the Vishnu Dutas come. Why? Because at the time of that, Antakale chamamima smaran muktva kalevram. At the time of that, if somebody remembers me, he just said the word Narayan. He was not even calling Krishna. He just said the word Narayan. And then the Vishnu Dutas come. There's a nice debate that happens between the two of them. The Vishnu Dutas do not allow the Yamdutas to take away. And the Yamdutas are totally flabbergasted. They said it never ever happened in our lives that anybody was able to take away our victim, so-called victim. We never had defeat. So they go back and they have another dialogue and a Krishna Katha session with Yamraj. But back here, Ajamila, sees all this. The soul can see, right? So he's seeing all this conversation, everything happen. And then afterwards, he leaves everything, goes to Haridwar, and he practices devotional service. And he then finally liberated. But what I'm just want to tell you is that, Mataji, that Krishna helps. And even if the holy name is very, very powerful. And what Srila Prabhupada says is that if you do not know the constituents of a medicine, right? But if you drink the medicine is going to have its effect, whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly, right? Like if you are having fever, you don't know that Tylenol can reduce the fever, but you drink Tylenol, it will reduce your fever. Similarly, the holy names of the Lord will do it. But then if you are doing all that with focus and with attention, the results will be much better and will come sooner.
Thank you,
Otherwise,
Mataji.
you can also go on the yeah. And one other thing, neha bhikamanasosti pratyavayona vidyate, that anybody who does even this much of devotional service will never take birth in the animal family. Next life, again, you'll get the human being of life. And then the human life is the best form of life. Why is human life the best form of life?
Because it gives us the chance to do devotional service.
Do the devotional service, right? Yeah, and there was very nice.
Mataji,
Sorry?
I'm just leaving now.
You're just leaving? Oh, no,
10:30.
can't believe that. Cannot
10.
believe it.
I don't feel like, but it's already 10:30.
No, please have rest. I was just joking. It's late for you. Yeah.
Hare
And
Krishna.
Krishna says, in the 11th chapter, in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, he says that, there are two-handed animals, the four-handed animals, ones with tails, with feathers, wings, and all that. But the best that I like is human beings. So you're already taking birth in a
Hare
human
Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah. So we have done so much. You have done so much. So don't think about that.
Thank you,
Death will
Mataji.
come to all of us. There's no doubt about that. But to unnecessarily think about what's going to happen when we don't know. So there's that, Stephen Covey's thing of circle of influence, right? So whatever you can influence, you can influence. If you try to think beyond that circle of influence, then that will be worry. That will only be worry, because you cannot do anything, right? If I were to think like, will my great-grandchild be admitted to Berkeley University? What can I do about it? The child has not yet been born. I can only worry about it because it's outside my circle of influence. But inside my circle of influences, will my child make it to the Berkeley? I can do something about it. At least get an atmosphere in the home where they can read, take them to a school, college, help them. That there's something you can do. It's in your circle of influence. So you do things which are in your circle of influence, which chant. You follow 4 regulative principles. You do all that. Right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen at the time of death, whether I'll remember it or not, and to worry about that is not going to help you. It's only going to detract your mind.
That is true. I think I did read it and I'm not very good with remembering the verses, so I can just say the explanation of it. Because there was, I think in one chapter, Krishna did say that you just need to do your part, and then what happens in the end, leave it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Karmaneva
Sarva-dharman parityajya.
Karmanevadhikaraste ma
Yes.
pravishyate. You perform your duty. Do not think about the results. Right? Like that, yeah. Sarva-dharman parityaja is also there, talking about extreme surrender.
That leave everything to me, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for accepting me in this class and
it's free class.
listening to me, because I am nowhere close to knowing any of these verses and understanding them. So it's going to take
But we
me.
were the same when we joined the class, so don't
you.
worry. Yeah.
We also have Sanjay Prabhu. Yeah, he joins us from Texas. He's new to this class. So,
but your realization is on the very higher level, Mataji.
Thank you. I don't think so, but I'm hoping that it takes me there, and what you see, that I can see it too. Thank you.
And always, like continue to have this continuous dialogue with Krishna, as Arjuna is having continuous dialogue with Krishna. If you remember, in the beginning of this chapter, they said, Yatha deep nivatostha. Remember that? Where a mind, just as a lamp in a windless place. So, Kumal Radha, you remember that? Just as a lamp in a windless place does not flicker, so too a mind of a yogi does not flicker. Right? So, Krishna gave him that thing. And so now Arjuna is coming back and says, flicker? Its nature is flickering. Right? It is all wind. It behaves like wind. You're talking about lamp in a windless place. This bugger is wind. What do I do? And then the answer will come in the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned and please continue to come.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you, Sanjay Prabhu, for joining. And if you have any comments or questions, you can unmute and ask, or you can also text and share with us. So I will take you. Yeah, go ahead, Sanjay Prabhu. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining. Yeah, you have been consistently attending the classes. Very good. Yeah, if at any point of time you have anything to ask, you can text us ahead of time during the class. There's text chat that goes on. Varshana, are you trying to say something?
I said that shloka Smrito. I just wanted to know from where it is.
Which one? Which one?
You just said no, that.
Oh, the 6th chapter, the windless.
Yata Deep Nivatosta. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's in the same chapter.
Sixth chapter only.
Yeah, 6th chapter only.
In the beginning.
I think it's 19 or something. Yeah, Yata Deep Nivatosta. Yeah, 19.
No, Mataji, 19. No. You were saying no, Smaran Meta.
Oh, that is Isha Upanishad verse 17.
That is, yeah.
Isha Upanishad verse 17. While aniram amritam athedam bhasmantam shariram om krito smara kritam smara krito smara kitam smara. Here. ISO 17. Vāyor anilam amritam athedam bhasmantam shariram om krito smara kritam smara krito smara kritam smara. And so he's saying, oh Lord, please remember, please remember, please remember. And in the purports, when you read it, Prabhupada is going to say that he does not have to necessarily worry about whether Krishna will remember or not remember. Krishna will take care. Prabhupada says that. So read this verse,
yes.
Today, Varshana, or tomorrow. It's
I will do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So it's a very long purport. Yeah, Prabhupada is, you see, it's going on and on. Yeah. But he will, Krishna will remember. Yeah, yeah. Have that faith that Krishna will take care of you. Try to know, because he's your father, and we always had faith in our father, right? That he will do everything.
Yeah, yes.
Pitaham asajakta mata dhata pitamaha vedam pavitram omkara riksama yaju ivacha. Right? So he's everything. 9th chapter that you're doing in chat. Okay. All right, I'll take your leave now. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha
Kripasindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji, for the best class ever.
Thank you so much.
So now, Sunday we are meeting, right? Sunday we're meeting at 6:30 p.m. Those who are brave.
Yeah, I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them.
Now you don't have excuse, Sukamal Radhe Mataji. Earlier it was like, I've got school, I've got this and that. It's a fun class. You will like it, especially because
I don't get up. I don't get sleep till so late, Mataji. That's
one day you come to the class, and then in the night the sleep will come early, and then you'll fall into that pattern. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
Try that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody. Meet you on Sunday.
Shraddha Mataji, can I quickly call you for a second?
Okay, for 1 second.
Just one. Yeah.